Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. It is July 7th, Wednesday at 11:08 p.m.
Yeah.
Texas time. Tejas. And we will, this is YSGOAT. Or you still going on about that, as we just said. And this is our weekly show we do, YSGOAT News, right? We call it YSGOAT News.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, and we're going to either get the episode up at really super early, July 8th.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, in the morning. It'll be up in the morning.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yes.
But we do a double shift, right? We work in 2 days to do this podcast.
Working in a coal mine, just like that Devo song. Just like
Yep. I heard Trump was going to bring back the coal.
Yeah, right. Coal. Yeah.
It's back, right? It's back. All the jobs.
They actually scheduled that for shortly after the South Rising again, which still has yet to happen. So
I think we kind of almost did a little bit on January 6th, which we will be talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of what we're going to talk about, what we got a list of stuff. Where are we going?
We got a big list. We're going to talk a little bit. We've been talking about Loki every week, the series, and we both saw that new movie, the Chris Pratt vehicle, Tomorrow War. We'll talk about that.
Jeff Bezos movie.
Yeah.
Where didn't he put out like a weird thing saying like all the recipe of a good movie, but it was like very like robotic. Like it was like a month or two ago. Somebody like, oh man, it was like so funny. Like the rules of a movie, they had to have these things in it. And like, yeah, I mean, on a very surface level, he's right. I mean, you do have to have these things in the movie for it to be good. And,
sure.
And Tomorrow War is kind of almost a good example of Jeff Bezos' demand.
That's funny.
So I'm gonna see if I can find it. It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Tomorrow War. We'll talk about then we got a section where we're going to talk about the 6-month anniversary of January 6th, the insurrection, which was yesterday. Ashley Babbitt, who was one of the rioters. Yep, one of the domestic terrorists who was killed while attacking the Capitol. Mike Lindell's prediction regarding, I think it's August 13th, he thinks Trump is going to come back.
Oh, yeah, he'll be back. Yep.
And then Trump suing Facebook and Twitter and Yelp, I think.
Yelp. I went to Beefsteak Charlie's and
he is livid that his review of the North Miami Beach Quiznos was taken down. And then we're going to talk about you saw it first, and then a weird instance where they played the national anthem in a Walmart, and I guess everyone
it broke out. Someone started singing it, and everyone sang. Well, and lucky us, it's only like 20 minutes from our house.
Yeah,
where we live. It's only like 20 minutes away. We live in a pretty stupid area, I guess.
I'll tell you, I right before we got on the air, I was looking through our local Facebook groups, which I should never do. Yeah, and someone was up in arms that the public library, had a book on drag queens or something, and it was like 80 comment post, 80 comment thread on Facebook about how. Yes. Anyway, then we're going to talk about someone had a proposal today that teachers should have to wear cameras, or that there should be cameras in classrooms to make sure
Tucker Carlson was demanding that.
Yeah, to make sure that teachers don't teach critical race theory. And I have some interesting ideas about that.
All right, we'll get to that.
Yep. And then we're going to talk about some COVID stuff. Always a good time.
Yep.
The Olympics. And then at the end, we're going to talk about Joe Rogan a little bit. And mostly because you had tweeted something today. And
it was the other day.
Was it the other? I just saw it today.
Stupid Twitter algorithm.
Yeah. And it was about Joe, something you had about Joe Rogan and his place in the media.
He's the new Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And, I'll go into it. What I mean by that. It's not so completely face value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
All
more
right,
like an interesting idea. And I want to talk about that too. So anyway, we'll start with Loki.
You want to talk about Loki first? Or you want to talk about Tomorrow War first?
Either one. You want to do Tomorrow War first?
Let's talk about Loki because we enjoyed Loki this week. And then, it's like, you know what? I didn't, and I always want to make this clear before we even go into Tomorrow War. I did not hate Tomorrow War. Like Tomorrow War is getting eviscerated in the reviews.
Yeah.
I did not hate it. I actually enjoed the movie. It's
I had a good time.
incredibly stupid, but I enjoyed it. I said it was like it was like a good Michael Bay movie.
It reminded me a lot of Independence Day.
But like, yeah, it was just stupid. All right, we'll get into that. Yeah. Okay, so if you've been listening to our podcast, especially for the past month, we've done we'll talk about Loki in the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
So we talked about 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
And now we're at episode 5. And episode 5 was the best, I think, the best episode of the series so far. Can't hurt to have. It's always fun to have different variants of a character, especially a wacky character like Loki. Man, there was so many Easter eggs in this show. There was like insane. Like, so basically, in the end of episode 4, spoilers.
Oh yeah, these are all spoilers.
Okay. Loki was pruned,
right,
by the TVA, and he woke up in what is the void. And in the background, one of the things some people brought up was, in the background, in the end, when he wakes up in the it's like a mid-credit scene in episode 4, he wakes up and someone says like he is surrounded by different Lokis, and there's like a kid Loki, this like more barbarian type Loki, or like almost like a Thor like type Loki. It was like weird.
They called him boastful Loki,
like the liar or something.
Yeah, something like that.
He would do these ridiculous lies. So I guess like he's trying to be like a fake Thor. I don't know. He had his own hammer.
Yeah.
And then like a very classic comic book version of Loki played by Richard Grant. Yes. I got his name. Richard E. Grant is his name. I always screw this guy's name up and it's all because Hugh Grant exists, and there can only be one British Grant. I mean, the fact they're not. I don't think they're related.
Right.
Richard E. Grant's a great actor. So, and he's dressed up like the way Loki looked in like Journeys and Mysteries when he was introduced in the 60s. Yes. Kind of like how he looked like for like a good 20, 30 years until they started modifying his design.
Like if they did a live action Loki in the 70s, that's what he would have looked like, probably.
Yeah, 60s, 70s. Yeah. It's like funny. The costume was like good, bad. Like it's corny, but it still looked good.
Yep.
As opposed to like, it's funny because in these Marvel series, we've been given like teases of like characters, what they would actually look like in the like more comic accurate costumes. In WandaVision, Scarlet dressed up as a what was the country she's from? Sokovia,
something like that. Yeah,
Sokovian witch, but just happened to look more like, it was like a really cheesy version of her cheesy costume.
Yes.
Up until now, kind of her costume. Quicksilver shows up in it, and he's in a more comic accurate. It's like a Halloween episode. It was a great one.
Yeah.
Vision too, where it's like bright colors and everything. And then this show we're seeing like that too. And then even like Captain America, where like Wilson's the Falcon now Captain, the new Captain America, his costume's super accurate to the comic. Like but in a more modern.
Right. His was definitely more modern.
A lot more money involved. But the way Marvel designs their costumes, even now in the comics for the past like 15 years, they tend to look like they could be in the movies. Like they don't look like the way they modify them. So Loki is surrounded by other Lokis. And that's kind of like this episode.
Yeah. It is great because it feels like the penultimate episode of a show. Like everything is racing towards a conclusion. There's a lot of movement, a lot of big payoff story wise. very few wasted scenes. Like you said, Easter eggs galore.
Yeah, even like the Avengers Towers in the background.
Yeah,
from the first Avengers movie, Stark Tower.
Yep. Even if you didn't know what an Easter, like I wasn't super familiar with Thor Frog, but you see something on the screen and you're like, oh, that's significant in some way, you know, and like
the Thanos helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanos, there's a joke, and actually, which is really funny because I talked about this in our episode on Endgame. So in the comics, Thanos was a very serious cosmic villain.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, also in the 70s, they used to do Hostess fruit pie ads all the time.
Right.
You could find these ads everywhere. And it would always be this corny ass thing where like a villain comes and then like Spider-Man fights him, and then the villain is overcome by the flaky, tasty goodness of a cherry Hostess pie.
Yeah.
And that's it. The outcomes were always the same. The pie would win. The pie would always defeat villainy.
Yeah.
With frosted, flaky goodness. Thanos was in one of them, and he had a helicopter.
Yeah.
And it said Thanos on it. I'm pretty sure it's that one. I want to make sure it's not. He also showed up in like a weird kids comic, Spidey. It was called Spidey, and it was more based on the Electric Company.
Oh yeah.
Let me pull up the Thanos helicopter, and it's funny because it's just funny that that's like in the background. It's such a like. No one and their mother knows what the fuck this is, except for like people like my age who like are super, not like surface level, like, oh yeah, I have some X-Men comics in the back. I'm talking like real nerds that like have like, this is like a gift, the Thanos helicopter. It is so weird. Let me see if I can find it. What is the Thanos helicopter?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I saw photos of the comic, you know, with the Thanos helicopter.
I want to make sure I'm not making shit up. Is it from the fruit pie ad, or is it? Yeah,
I saw it in what looked like regular comics, you know, like comics that you know, age appropriate comics, not necessarily.
Oh, okay. I was wrong. It wasn't a fruit pies ad. I take it back, but they did do fruit pies ads just like that.
Yes.
No, it's an issue. It is Spidey Super Stories issue 39. I bet you all these motherfuckers now are going to be selling that stupid comic.
That's a hot book.
Oh, well, what's funny about that comic actually, is that those books actually do have a lot of value because those books were sold to like little kids and libraries and stuff. It wasn't really meant to be distributed like other comics. So to find one in even like decent condition, and especially the one that has Thanos, he's on the cover, any book from him from the 70s slot. So this book now, I bet you could go on eBay, it's going for like $100.
Yeah. That's funny.
But it's fun. Okay, so in Endgame, Thanos' weapon, remember Thanos had a weapon that was blade? That was referencing the goddamn helicopter. He spun it like a propeller. I was like, what you doing? It was also in a Marvel Lego series thing.
Well, there were tons of Easter eggs. So many.
Yellow Jacket head, like the villain in
yeah.
But it was like massive. It was like the opposite. Like it's like a lot of cool shit in the background.
Right.
Yeah, like when Loki's confronted by the other Lokis, they head to like there's like this giant smoke monster, kind of like Lost.
Yeah, there's a couple Lost shout outs in this, I thought. The smoke monster being one of them.
They take him to like the Loki bunker or whatever, and while they're going down, you see like in between, and you see Mjolnir.
Yeah, the hammer. Do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see a little Thor frog in a glass jar trying to get Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And which is kind of sad when you think about
it. It's very sad.
He's permanently. He's never gonna get that hammer problem. But yeah, then. I'm not gonna like recap the whole thing. It was just a really good episode. There's like lots of different Lokis. There's all kinds of theories now. The Richard E. Grant character is like the older Loki.
Yeah.
And they're kind of explaining like how they ended up here. And I guess in a way, like all these Lokis, though, at some point they will die at the hands of Thanos, like the way he dies in Infinity War. The Loki that we have in this show, though, escaped in 2012 in Endgame. So and I guess that's why the TVA grabbed him, because he basically broke time.
Yeah. Well, and the whole, in the background of the whole series, they've been talking about, like, do you have free will? Like, and everything this variant of Loki is hearing over and over again is that the future is already written. You can't, if you try to change, if you try to do anything, then you can't. You know, and this Loki, his whole being depends on changing. A, he wanted to change and not get killed by Thanos. B, he wants to change and be a good guy that won't backstab people. And so, like, he's trying to, that's the real escape for him, is can he stay changed?
And he's also like kind of in love with his Sylvie himself.
Right.
In this episode, they kind of confirmed more that she is basically the Enchantress.
Yeah.
Because they kept on bringing up her enchanting powers.
Yeah.
Which I guess means that would make her
the Enchantress.
That makes sense. Right. You think like those actions would lead to that, but what if she's like, nah, it's not my name.
I will say my favorite scene, it's not a pivotal scene or anything, is when the Lokis, there's a scene where there's a whole bunch of Lokis in the bunker, and basically the team
President
of
Loki?
Yeah, the President Loki comes in, and immediately all the Lokis start backstabbing each other.
Yeah. And I guess those were all Lokis. Like one of the Lokis, he had like weird Coolio hair in the side.
Yeah.
That was one of the Lokis. I think it was in the second episode when they were talking about all the variants. We didn't get to see the Hulk Loki, which but one of that Loki was one of them.
Well, the best scene was where Kid Loki chucked Alligator Loki at President Loki, and Alligator Loki bit his hand off.
Yeah, that scene was pretty amazing.
And then everything goes to hell right afterwards. Like the guy screams, and like 30 seconds of fighting goes on, and you hear like an almost identical scream, so you know that the alligator got another hand.
Yeah, the alligator's amazing. We were talking about this before the episode. I said that like all these like comic people are like trying to find a reference of alligator, like kind of like the Thanos cop. They're like,
right.
They want to find. They're like, where's Alligator Loki?
Yeah.
But the joke is, I don't think he's ever been in the comics. But I bet he will show up because they have made the Frog Thor character kind of a more permanent character. So it would only make sense that he would have a villainous gator brother.
Yeah.
And the alligator was cute too, which is funny.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
I want to say in like Egyptian mythology, like there's a trickster god, like a crocodile trickster god or something. You know, I think there is like some basis in there for.
So it wasn't just like, let's just have a gator Loki. Like there's an actual, I mean, what the joke is too is that he's green.
Yeah, that's what
Loki's wear variants of green. Like they wear shades of green. Like even what Loki's wearing, the Loki of the show, he's wearing like khaki,
something like that.
Yeah, he has shades of green in it.
Yeah, it's like olive or something.
Yeah, it's like a tan with some green in it, so he still fits the Loki model.
Yeah. There's another great scene where Mobius was trying to figure it out, and he's like, "Well, that's exactly what an alligator Loki would want you to think." Like,
yeah, he was great. He was kind of back. We were talking about that in the last episode. He was kind of like acting like a dick, and he was back to being more the Mobius that we were introduced to in the first and second episode, where he's like, kind of more calm and cool, and not like, fucked up this time, Loki.
I guess that makes his weird turn to being aggressive even more jarring. Like if I were to watch,
think that's just I just think that's the disjoint. Like, do they have the same director making every episode?
I thought so. I thought it was a woman directed all 6 of them, the same woman. But I could be wrong.
It happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they might explain it. They could explain it. So one of the cool things is Richard E. Grant's Loki's. He's an older Loki. Like they don't like just say, oh, he's this older Loki. I mean, no, he is supposed to be like you have Kid Loki. They don't really explain Kid Loki too much. And then there's future Loki. Oh, there was all kinds of crazy shit in this episode, all kinds of things in the background. I recommend they probably have like tons of like 20 Easter eggs or 100
yeah. I'm sure there's a clickbait list.
There was video games in this because this was like Kid Loki's place that they were in.
Yeah.
One of the there was a video game in there that's like some weird video game that was supposedly pulled from the market and never really been seen again. Polymer or some weird game. It's in the background. You can probably look it up. And the joke is that, like, of course, the TVA would be the thing that removed this video game from existence. It's like
that's funny.
So it's kind of funny that they had this in there. It was almost like this is a lot of nerd shit in this episode. But Richard E. Grant's character is basically explaining how he escaped Thanos by making Thanos think that he killed them, when in reality he was creating an illusion. And when the ship was blown up by Thanos and everything, he kind of just floated in space until he eventually landed somewhere. And I guess he lived alone or whatever, or in solace for like thousands of years. I don't know how long these things live.
Yeah.
They are thousands, like they are supposed to be over 1,000 years old or something.
Yeah.
Like Thor said he's like 15. I don't know. They live long lives. It's weird.
Right. We kind of perceive them as immortal, but they really just have very, very long lifespans.
Yeah, they could die. It would take a lot, but they could die.
Right.
So this Loki explains that. And so there's a theory that Loki maybe did not die in Endgame, is what they're kind of hinting at.
Right.
Is that because all Lokis, even if they're variants and everything, they all kind of almost follow the same path. That, of course, any Loki that would confront Thanos would probably fake his death so that he could escape for another day. Who knows? It could just been this one specific Loki, but people have this theory. And there's been this other theories that, and we talked about this, that the Loki in this show will probably die by doing what he does. And that it will be revealed later that our Loki from the movies and stuff, it'll be revealed that he's alive. Which kind of would be like almost like a bummer. I don't know, because like we've grown to like this Loki. I don't know where they go next with this Loki. We don't really.
Well, they could swap out. They could be that our Loki really did die, and this Loki. I mean, there could be some swap where this is the Loki we're going to see in the future, because I think people want a redeemed Loki. You know, I mean, I think that's what the viewer really kind of wants to see.
Well, it's interesting. You think about this too with Thanos and Loki in the two different paths. Like Loki in the first or second, I think it's the first episode where he sees like the archive footage or whatever. He sees his future, and he sees himself get killed. Because this Loki did not experience Dark World or Thor Ragnarok. He didn't experience Infinity War. He didn't experience getting killed by Thanos. Because Loki escaped years before, you know, like, so he sees all that, and I guess he decides to go on almost a different path. While Thanos in the movie, it's almost proven that he's a bad guy. Like, it was like debatable, like how bad he was in the first movie, which I'm like, is it debatable? I mean, the guy's a murderous psychopath.
Right.
Like, fucking insane ideology. I just think we should wipe out half of existence. Okay. Yeah. What's that going to solve? I mean, like psychological torment for like decades, centuries, and like. But what his reaction after when he finds out, because he passed a pre Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos shows up. So 2014 Thanos shows up in Endgame, and they capture the future or modern Nebula, and he sees the footage in her brain, archived in her brain, of what happens to him. So what would be his thing to do? His reaction is, I'm just gonna go get the stones, and I'm gonna wipe out all humanity. Like, I'm not even gonna like he like quadruples down on his evil. So it almost like proves that Thanos was a bad guy. Like he was always gonna choose bad. He may have had some bullshit, fake nobility, and claimed all that. So it's kind of interesting that these two characters kind of see their future before it happens, and they both take very different paths.
Yeah, it is interesting. I part of me is kind of glad that it's 6 episodes and they're going to wrap it up next week, because it feels like a really good, tightly plotted story. You know what I mean? Like it feels like there's very little fluff. Another part of me is like, man, I could probably go for another couple episodes of this. I mean, it seems like
I would like it to go in a different direction or something. You like the characters.
Yeah.
You want to see them do something else. I don't know. Like, I mean, the Sylvie character's great.
Yep.
It's like weird. It's like, again, he's like in love with her, but it's like it's her. It's him.
It is like you.
It's like almost like, is she just like kind of like a sister to him? It's like a weird.
You almost get the idea that it's platonic. Like when he sees her, I never got the sense that he wants to like kiss her or anything. It just seems like he's overjoyed to see her. Like, oh, you make me better. You know, like
that's kind of hug Mobius, and Mobius went, oh wow.
Well, I would definitely watch a Kid Loki and Alligator Loki spinoff.
Well, series. I think what's, again, and I was saying this, I don't know if Kid Loki is going to show up anywhere ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a character in the comics, stuff like that. Yeah. In theory, they could, because these shows have been setting up the Young Avengers. We got introduced to the twins in WandaVision, the two brothers that kind of went missing.
Yep, the one can take the form of water and the other can take the form of an animal.
You paid attention. You were like watching the show. You were like,
they hang out with that little monkey. It's adorable.
No, none of that.
Oh, different twins.
Yeah. The Barbie twins. The 1990s pinup magazine darlings, the Barbie twins. Remember them?
Yes. No.
I do remember them. Takes me back. Oh, sorry. No, the kids from fucking WandaVision. Yeah.
Yes. The kids could. What was the one kid? Wizard. Or
one kid was like basically a speedster, and the other one was like the witch character. They had like some powers, and those characters from Young Avengers. And then you were introduced to Isaiah Washington. Is that his name?
Yeah.
And his grandson is there. His grandson is in Young Avengers.
Yep.
He plays a character named Patriot. I'm pretty sure that's his name.
Was he Patriot, or was the other guy Patriot?
No. The kid takes up the mantle of a character called Patriot, and he was in Young Avengers. They're introducing a show. They're doing a show called Miss Marvel.
Yep.
It's coming out. She was part of the Young Avengers. And this Kid Loki character was part of the Young Avengers too.
Yeah.
So it's probably Marvel is like building it up,
right?
And might make a Young Avengers series. Maybe that Kid Loki will be in it. I don't know. Who knows? But it's possible that all those will lead to that. I don't know. The episode was good. Everyone's has the joke was WandaVision. I thought Mephisto was gonna be the big villain.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, and which was fine. I don't think it ruined the show.
No, it was fine.
Then it's only like 6 to 8 episodes. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna attack Mephisto in the last episode, and everyone thinks that like the main villain of this series is Kang, and who's a major Avengers villain. But you said you think it's not. You think it's just basically they defeat the smoke monster, Loki and Sylvie. With the help of Richard E. Grant's character, who creates this massive illusion.
Yeah, real
sacrifices
cool.
himself. He had glorious purpose. He went out with a bang. You see the portal, and it's like a castle. It's like, what's beyond that? And it's like, is that the Wizard of Oz? What is that? And I didn't know who the character was. Like I said, I don't think it's Kang. I think they might mention Kang, because Kang is going to be in the new Ant-Man Wasp movie.
Yes, yeah. Quantum Topia or something.
Quantum Mania, I think.
It's a weird name. I don't know it. But
Quantum Mania.
Yeah.
And you think it's just going to be another Loki?
Yeah, I think there's a reason there's only Lokis there. It being kind of a chaotic world, it makes perfect sense that it would be like dominated by Loki. That seems to be the logical answer to me, and I think that'll let there be some resolution where we get to keep a good version of Loki for the future of the franchise.
So you think that you were saying you think the Loki is the Loki from the movies that we know.
Yeah, like you had said, maybe the old Lokis story of pretending to die at Thanos' hand, slipping off with the detritus of the debris field or whatever, and then existing like that. I think that might be what happened to our Loki, and then that he's at the end of the road,
We'll see. We'll find out.
Next week.
I feel like every time I made any predictions on the show, I was wrong on every one.
Yeah.
Except for enjoying myself.
Yeah. It's been all of them have been great. This has been a real fun series. Yeah, it'll be good. So all right. Well, so we got tomorrow.
So speaking of Star-Lord, I guess is a Marvel connection because Chris Pratt can't be anything else.
Yep.
Except Star-Lord.
He is Star-Lord.
He could be smart Star-Lord. He could be Star-Lord who fights dinosaurs.
Yeah, he's an interesting choice for like an action hero. You know what I mean? Like, this is, I think, the first role I've seen him in where he is like being pawned off as a legitimate action hero. Even Star-Lord is mostly like, he's not a gimmicky character, but he's like.
What about Jurassic Park?
I take that back. You're right. Jurassic Park.
He's been a lot of stuff with action.
Well, you're right. Jurassic Park. He was an action hero. I was just saying, like,
Locker.
Which one?
Hurt Locker.
He was in Hurt Locker?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. To be honest, I never saw Hurt Locker.
Yeah, I just remember him in the preview going like, "We're gonna get Osama bin Laden" or something. And I was like, it's so funny because he was like still. You ever watch? You watched Parks and Rec, right?
Oh yeah.
So they did this whole thing where like one of the seasons, they kind of had to write him out because he went to go film basically Guardians of the Galaxy. So he was only in a couple episodes that season. In the beginning of the season, he wasn't fat anymore. Like the character was always kind of pudgy, kind of a dumb loser.
Out of shape, yeah.
Joke. And in so he said, and he was all buff because he had worked out. Like he worked his ass out to be in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think his natural state is to be a little more pudgier.
Sure.
Some people to star. And they asked him how he lost all the weight, and he just says, "Yeah, I stopped drinking beer for a month."
Yeah,
that was it.
I'll tell you, I believe it. I can't believe I remember this. I saw like an interview with Courtney Love back when she did that Larry Flint movie, which must have been like 30 years ago or something.
Oh damn! It is at least over 20. It is like 25 years ago.
So she lost a bunch of weight to be in that movie. And some reviewer or interviewer asked her, "How'd you lose weight?" She said, "I just stopped eating cheese for like 2 months. That's it. Like that was the only change I made." Is I
know that if I just stopped eating 6 Reese's peanut butter pies a day, I would probably shed a good 300 pounds very quickly.
But at what cost?
I can't resist those peanut butter pies. You know? There's a lot of options to be weighed here.
Yes. If I gave up my pizzeritos, which is essentially a microwave burrito that I cook on top of a Totino's frozen pizza, which I then fold into a taco, then I would certainly lose a few LBs, as they say.
But you would also lose yourself.
But I would lose myself in the process.
Right.
What gain a man if he's... Anyway, so I liked Tomorrow. Look, Tomorrow War, that whole basic, and it's weird because I'm not like a go army military. I love military sci-fi, Starship Troopers, Space.
Well, Starship Troopers is awesome because
it parodies that.
We did an episode about that.
Yeah,
you can listen to it. It's probably one of our better episodes.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I like that stuff.
Sci-fi violence.
Yeah. The Hoth scenes in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, that's amazing. That's like probably one of the best scenes in the entire trilogy.
Yes. And that's basically sci-fi militarism. I don't understand why I enjoy it so much, but I do. So yeah.
You're a fucking fascist. God damn.
Well, it's the kind of show that I find myself really enjoying. Now,
movie.
Yeah. movie. Was it the best movie I ever saw? Certainly not.
No, it's super dumb.
It's dumb.
Like the movie, like, is super contrived. Everything is like it. So I enjoyed it though. Like the thing is, the movie's getting eviscerated online. The movie is like, it's gotten like, people are like talking about, pointing out all the things wrong with it and everything. I'm like, listen, I enjoyed it though. Like I still like pretty much all the actors and actresses in the movie. Yep. I like pretty much like the movie was paced pretty good.
Oh yeah.
There's really no slowdown. That's important, especially when you're watching a movie at home. This was definitely a movie that was supposed to be in the theater. It feels like a theater movie. I thought the alien design was pretty good.
It was,
yeah. I mean, for like, I don't know, will it be super iconic and survive over time like Aliens? Probably not. But man, that alien was pretty fucking gnarly. Like those aliens were brutal as fuck. So basically the premise of the movie is like one day a rift opens up in the middle of a football game.
Yeah.
And people from the future come in and basically tell them they've been invaded by aliens and we need soldiers for the future to save the planet because humanity is dying.
Yes.
And there's a lot of weird, the whole thing is super spoilers. We're going to spoil this.
Yeah.
You can find this on Amazon Prime if you have it. When you see the movie, you realize that you're basically, it is like mapped out in a very like a board game. Like you meet specific characters at specific moments and they all add up. So in the movie, he's a teacher, Chris Pratt's character.
Yep.
He's revealed that he also has military experience, which is good because then he could show that he can fight, hold a gun and do those things.
Yep.
But there's a kid in the classroom who talks about volcanoes.
Yeah, it's
a weird kid. He's a weird little nerdy kid who has a huge fascination with volcanoes.
Yes.
That's weird. I guess maybe that might be important later in the movie.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, then he has an estranged father who's like crazy and kind of like a InfoWars kind of guy. Definitely has survival buckets, but knows weapons, knows what to do, knows all these things. I don't know. He's only in like one or two scenes, but he might come. There might be I don't know. We met him, and we might need him later.
He
and
might have a skill. Yeah.
There's a couple other things in the beginning before Chris Pratt goes off to the future. You find out that basically everyone that was chosen were chosen because they are dead before the time period that they're going to. They don't exist. So you don't have to worry about there being two of you at once. In this world. Now it's funny because you notice that too when like they're picking up people and they're all like, most of them are like middle aged.
Yeah.
They're not like young people. They're not picking like 80-year-olds or anything like that. But my favorite was the one guy who was dressed still up as a chef.
Yeah.
They had some really funny ones. The one guy, man, I forgot his name. He's so funny. He's from Veep. And he's kind of like played as kind of like a comedy character.
There's a few character actors, a few kind of like moderately famous comedians that got killed off pretty early.
Her show and like 24, she's bizarre. This other guy who was in the show called Love, and the thing, the movie, like I'm not going to go too long into it. It's just everything is very convenient. Everything's explained conveniently, and everything adds up in the end conveniently.
Yes.
So he goes into the future. They fucked up. They drop everybody. Everybody starts dying because they dropped them like in the sky to land in the city. So
they landed on top of a skyscraper. Most of them fell like 30 stories to their death.
Yeah.
A few of them landed, and Chris Pratt happened to land in a pool, which
would not have cushioned that fall. That's ridiculous.
Be like hitting concrete.
It opens the door. Like, why would they, if they have the power to do this in the future, why would they not have better weapons to kill these creatures?
Right. And why didn't
fucking,
they
like, space lasers or something?
The whole thing was like contingent upon them returning the toxin to the future, when it just always made more sense to keep the toxin in the past and use it when they arrived. Like I know that they didn't arrive, but like...
Well, that's when he finds out all these different things, and I guess it's convenient, but I guess he has to go to the future to find this out. He wouldn't have known.
Sure.
One of the guys is a soldier guy, and you find out conveniently that he's also dying of cancer.
Yep.
Only has 6 months to live, but he's like this like special operations guy. And then you find out, you're introduced to his daughter early in the movie. He was a kid.
Yeah.
And then you meet a woman later who's played by the woman who plays Serena in Handmaid's Tale. She's in a bunch of other actors. She's the main scientist who's going to stop the aliens, and that just happens to be his daughter. And she's mad at him because he like left them or something.
That's the only part that didn't make sense. Like,
well, I guess he like he's like, because in the beginning you show him like he doesn't get a job.
Yeah.
And all these different things. It's kind of silly or whatever. Then he dies in a car crash, so she feels like he like abandoned her. And then they fight all the aliens. You find out they got to get a queen alien. The queen's like super
always
powerful.
A queen.
The aliens are really sick. Like that's the aliens look sick. They're fucking like, you find out too, like basically the world is destroyed in the end. Like the daughter's killed. They get toxin made, but the last standoff was like this base in the ocean. The fucking aliens can just like swim and glide in there, and they just take over the base, and he gets sent back to the future or the past.
Yes.
And he's holding the toxin, and that one dude, both those other people, they somehow survive, so they get sent back. I don't know. It's conveniently. He finds out the aliens were always here. They didn't, because they didn't know with the origin. They thought maybe it crashed in Russia.
They did. Yeah, they hinted around in the very beginning that they weren't sure how they got there. But that, and it comes out in the end that they didn't just arrive. They crash landed like 1,000 years ago.
Hundreds of thousands years ago. They were frozen in the tundra.
Right.
And because of global warming, which kind of gets glossed over a bit in the movie.
Yeah,
because of global warming, the ice melted in like 30 years, and then that ship.
Well, it is kind of interesting. They did gloss over it, but you hear about like some scientists talk about that pretty often, that like we are likely going to experience some diseases and microbes that we thought were gone that are now coming back, because of the climate. Things are thawing and those pathogens are coming back out and stuff. So
there's shit frozen in time.
Yeah.
In that we're gonna like
dinosaur cooties.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you thought COVID was bad,
right?
Wait till we get woolly mammoth COVID.
Right.
Saber-tooth COVID. I'm not looking forward to saber-tooth COVID.
No. Oof. But yeah, it turns out to have like a little bit of a global warming message in the end.
It's barely
shoehorned in.
It's they kind of like, but the point being is like, they were here the whole time, so they're like, so he's got to gather up a team. Well, he finds out because the claw that he saved, like a claw or whatever. The guy had a claw, and they examined it, and there was fragments on this claw. And that's when Volcano Boy from the beginning of the movie shows up again, because he's in the class, and this kid now is like his knowledge of volcanoes, very specific knowledge of explain that. Well, clearly it was in China, this debris, but it really originated in Russia in this part. Yeah. And I love the one of the best lines was the guy, the nerdy guy's like, "Oh man, you're like me in high school or something."
Yeah, right.
And that kid's like the star. He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
It was funny.
It was the movie had, I will say, like, I liked the whole movie. This isn't a movie. I texted you after I watched it and said I saw it and liked it. This isn't a movie that I would recommend to just anyone. You kind of have to like genre films, and you have to like sci-fi. I mean, you have to like a certain kind of movie to appreciate this movie. I don't expect to see it like mentioned a lot during Oscar season, but
I don't think it'll probably win some Razzies if anything.
And I guess if I were going to have a complaint, everything was kind of very convenient. Some of the plot points were like clearly like manufactured to keep the plot moving in the direction it needed to move. Some of the dialogue was like clunky, and the humor was placed at odd moments. But hell, I mean, I really liked it. I thought it was a good time.
And again, it's like we need a team. So he gets that guy back, and the one who's dying of cancer. Of course, he's gonna come.
Yeah.
And then it's like we're gonna. They talk to the guy. Who is this guy? He was like the guy run like a politician or something. Was he supposed to be the president or something? And he's like, no, I can't give you a
right. Yeah. They never explained that. I always thought that like if there were a sequel, he would be the president. You know, like he would have used that.
He takes all the credit in the end, which is kind of funny.
He seemed like a congressman or a senator or something. But and I could see them trying to do a sequel because this movie's kind of made for a sequel.
Yeah, I don't know if there'll be a sequel. I think I hope it's a one and done.
Yeah.
So of course that's where he's like, oh, I know a person, his crazy dad.
Yeah. J. Jonah Jameson.
We can't let the governments know because there'll be too much red tape and they won't be able, by the time that the aliens wake up and the world will end. So we could have to go and do this ourselves. And they get those future people that were still, there were some future people left behind because they stayed there to train people. And they have this like plan that we're going to inject the aliens with the toxins. It's like, why don't you just, but they had bombs too. So why don't you just blow up the ship to fucking begin with? Why would you, I mean, the toxins are great, but like, if you find the alien ship, wouldn't you just like blow it to Kingdom Come? I mean, or like, put the bomb in the inside and then just
it seemed like they went about that the wrong way. Like,
and then
can't you just like make that toxin an aerosol or something? I don't know. It just seemed like,
but those aliens, some of them will be like, I'm not going to wear a mask.
Right.
And then some of them do, and then they die, and then they claim it's not real or it's a comorbidity.
I would say, I would like that's the kind of thing where you're like, ugh, but
and they're like fighting the aliens. They're fighting him and his dad are like fighting the alien queen or something.
Yeah,
like with their fist and a claw. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, again, it's sick. There's some sick looking stuff, but it's. I just love though when him and the dad defeat the alien, and then that dude just shows up, and falls down. Like, where the fuck were you? Get the fuck out! I did like that he killed one of them with like a chainsaw. That guy was great. I like him. He's in that show on Netflix. He's been in a couple episodes.
Okay.
The hot dog guy in Netflix.
Oh, it's like You Should Be Leaving or something.
Yeah, there's a second season.
Yeah.
They did a show something about like Detroit. I forgot what it was called from Comedy Central, but he was on Veep and he was great in Veep. That guy.
Yeah, it was a great cast. It was a fun movie. There's plenty to nitpick about if you're in the mood to nitpick, but like
I said, everything is just very convenient. It's like, here, I introduced these things in the beginning of the movie for no important reason whatsoever. So that only 2/3 into the movie later, you will be like,
yeah.
Volcano Boy.
So I
wonder the purpose.
I wonder if that's like that. I think that's almost part of the fun of these movies. You know what I mean? Like when you see, like in a horror movie, you see like a couple go skinny dipping or something, and you're like, oh, they're gonna get like fucking machete to death or whatever.
Oh like, any horror movie, anytime someone gets naked or they're about to have sex, fucking dead. It's just
that dramatic. Yeah, it's like that dramatic irony where you like know what's going to happen.
Well, I thought the whole point of that in horror movies with people having sex is that it's like God's punishing you.
Yeah, and that too, yourself. Right?
Well, I wanted to point out. I will say this: that scene when the base is being invaded by the aliens, and like they're fucking gliding in and shit.
Yeah.
That scene's fucking brutal. Like the aliens were brutal as fuck. They were. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. That looked good, and they were surprisingly scary. And but they basically realized like whatever. They're like, we don't even know what happened. Because they said the problem with these aliens, and they're like, they just feed on us. They're not there to do trade or get resources. No. They're literally there to just eat and like just wipe us out. And they said that clearly they were like a bioweapon.
Yeah. It almost seemed like this other alien race would drop off a cargo of these aliens on a planet, let them clear out the planet, and then they probably had a toxin they used to kill them.
Yeah, or they had something that because they're like
they
created them, they knew how to like control them.
Right.
Get over here, boy, and they're like, cute little dogs.
Yeah.
Use a whistle. I don't know.
Special whistle.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, they're adorable. They're like pugs. Yeah, I mean, they said they don't even know like if the ship was even supposed to go to Earth. It could maybe have like might have had to have gone to another planet. It doesn't even matter. It's like, but I brought this up, I think earlier before we move on. I just want to point out Jeff Bezos, because this is a Jeff Bezos.
Oh yeah.
Made employees follow his 12-step guide to making iconic TV, which also works on movies as well. And here's the list. A heroic protagonist who experiences growth and change. Chris Pratt does all of that.
Yep, true.
A compelling antagonist. The aliens are quite compelling. Wish fulfillment, e.g., the protagonist has hidden abilities such as superpowers or magic. I mean, his military.
Well, he's a mild-mannered high school teacher who's also like a commando. That will work. That works.
4, moral choices. There are some choices that have to be made. 5, diverse world building, different geographic landscapes. Yes, the movie had some.
Yep.
6, urgency to watch next episode. Cliffhangers. We can take that one out, but that's fine.
Sure.
7, civilizational high stakes. A global threat to humanity, like an alien invasion or devastating pandemic. Sure. I think this movie covered all of that.
Yeah, covers that.
8, humor. There was some funny stuff. 9, betrayal. I don't know. Was there any betrayal? Did anyone go, haha?
No, there wasn't. No
one.
one.
Aliens were betraying us.
I mean, I suppose you could say Chris Pratt betrayed his daughter in a weird way, but that's like, if anything, that's shoehorned in. 10,
positive emotions, love, joy, hope. 11, negative emotions, loss, sorrow. 12, violence. Oh, there was a lot of violence.
Yeah.
So this movie definitely pretty much followed, except for the cliffhanger thing.
Yeah.
Which I guess it still had, if you were to pause the movie.
It's cliffhangery, like, yeah, sure. There are elements of it.
So this is definitely written by Jeff Bezos' movie algorithm. I think this movie is in there. All right, well, I don't really have anything else to say about it. Yeah. It was like super dumb, but enjoyable. I mean, I could say that. Like, here's the thing. I actually enjoyed watching it. I made a joke and said it's an enjoyable Michael Bay movie because I don't find Michael Bay movies enjoyable. I think they're incredibly exhausting.
Right.
The way he films is like dizzying. Like, everyone's like really obnoxious in these movies. They yell for no fucking reason sometimes.
Right.
There's like false dramatic building. But they're stupid movies. So I feel like this is like if this was like a smoother Michael Bay film. Yeah, I would say so. Let's move on to something else. Oh, this could have been a movie. We're celebrating the 6-month anniversary or something.
Yeah, 6-month anniversary of January 6th. The insurrection, the attack on the Capitol. Stop the steal. It is really, here's the weird thing about this is that like there was a brief moment, like literally hours after the insurrection, where all the Republicans were united against Trump, and then like by the next morning, by the morning of the 7th, January 7th, they were all back on the Trump train, and now they don't want to talk about it. They I don't think the Republicans have really figured out how to handle it other than to say, yeah, that sucked, but like, let's move on. There's no need to.
They don't want to. I mean, the main part of the party doesn't want anything to do with it because they know that they're culpable. And then there are other people that are like straight up part of it.
Yeah.
Instigators, planners, like Lauren Boebert, like giving tours and tweeting out the location of the Speaker of the House. I mean, they have to investigate. If they don't investigate this, then like it's going to happen again at some point.
Well, it might happen. I mean, I know we're going to talk about this in kind of this whole thing. It might happen again on August 13th, which is when Mike Lindell swears Trump is going to be reinstated as president.
Here's the difference, though. I mean, I know you're probably kidding, right?
No, I'm just saying that if there is going to be,
it wouldn't surprise me if that. Very different. See, the problem with January 6th is, and people need to understand this, is that DC is not its own state. The National Guard and basically everything like that is run by the the administration.
Well, and Trump was still president on January 6th.
Trump was still president. He let this happen.
Yes.
There were less guards there. There were less cops there. The whole thing was like by order of Trump. And they probably got more out of hand than they thought it would, or did exactly what they wanted, or didn't do as much as they wanted.
Yeah.
We don't really know that, but it was planned by Trump. Trump should be in jail for this alone. Like,
the
fact that he's not being investigated for this is disgusting. Like, he planned this. His family planned it. There's footage of what's that fucking lady, the one that Don Jr. is like dating or whatever.
Rita Repulsa.
Yeah. That's cool. I think it's awesome that there's a Power Ranger villain. I can't wait for Lord and Zed to show up.
She looks just like Rita Repulsa.
She kind of does.
Yeah.
I mean,
I forget her real name. It's like Kimberly Gargoyle.
Yeah, Kimberly Gargoyle. Guilfoyle. No, Gargoyle.
Oh, yeah.
Gargamel?
I always think of her as Kimberly Gargoyle. But yes.
Kimberly Gargoyle. She's like, they show her with them all watching in the tent. And you're like, yes, like this is exactly what it was supposed to happen. This is what they wanted. Like, dude, they were like sending messages. There was like footage of people on TikTok like talking about this shit. They were planning this for months.
We talked about it last week. Even Parler was sending messages to the FBI like, hey, you're gonna want to heads up on this because we got a bunch of nutcases on our platform.
So, if any nut jobs show up during the non-Trump administration,
different story.
I think it's going to be a totally different story, and it's going to be met with very different circumstances for people if they really were going to pull any shit. I mean, they need to be more arrests. There needs to be more investigations. Guys like fucking Ted Cruz should not be allowed to run for president or run for office ever again. He should be run out of the fucking country. I mean, there's like, I don't know. It's weird. Nothing's been done about it. Nothing. Really. I mean, there's been arrests and stuff.
There's been like 500 or 600 arrests, and there's still new waves of arrests. Like they just did a bunch of arrests the other week. I read a lot about this. They say that the Justice Department, normally how the Justice Department works is someone's been arrested, and they've been arrested because there's been a long investigation prior to the arrest. You know what I mean? Like the cops have collected a lot of evidence, or they've been working on a case and X, Y, and Z, and then they arrest him, and the Justice Department already has a bunch of shit that they can go to trial with. But with this, it's like they got like 500 or 600 all at once, and there's been zero work done on any of these cases, So I'm a little sympathetic to that. My favorite is there's a person on Twitter that I occasionally swing by and look at. She is so angry that these people are being kept in jail. There's like 20 or 30 of them that have been kept in jail for 6 months. They're super cranky about it. Lots of
was it like that one guy? There was this one asshole. He was like one of the main people that was chasing that officer.
Yeah.
That guy who like basically like made sure the one that got like awarded a medal.
Yeah.
The dude was wearing like some fucking Eagle shirt. He was like trying to get out of it. Like, oh no, I don't believe any of that stuff anymore. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, the problem with a lot of them is that they're trying to get out of jail, or they're trying to get out of it, and the judge is like, well, so why do you want to get out of jail, or why do you think we should let you on supervised release? And they're like, well, because I'm sorry. And then the judge goes, well, what are you sorry for? And then the person goes, nothing, I did nothing wrong. Like, and then like that, so you're gonna stay in jail, Junior. That's how that works. And the irony of it is that the more these QAnon nutcases on Twitter talk about how Ashley Babbitt was murdered and the
GOP is trying to turn, like, that's the other thing too, like the GOP is trying to turn this woman into like some weird martyr. This woman who was a QAnon nut job, she was one of the main people that broke into the Capitol, like was trying to get through a pile of chairs so she could go and like fucking kill a politician.
Never mind that at the Capitol. If that happened just to any random house, she would have been, somebody could have popped her in the neck and it wouldn't have been a crime. If that happened at your house or my house or like, and like the 7-Eleven down the street, you can't do that.
The GOP is trying to, they want, and Tucker Carlson and all them on like right-wing media, they are demanding the name of the officer that killed her.
Yeah.
That's what they want. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They try to make like false equivalencies to her and fucking what's his face?
George Floyd.
George Floyd, who was murdered, by what was that guy? Chauvin. And it's like, this is such a shitty like comparison. It's gross. It's a gross comparison. That woman made every decision that day to basically, like, she had to know one of the outcomes was that she could be killed doing that.
Yeah.
With the craziness that she was doing. She had to have known that she was going there and she probably would die. George Floyd woke up and just didn't know he was going to get killed by a cop that day.
It's just apples and oranges. I mean, like,
it's disgusting. It's like a constant attack on this poor guy who was killed, and you're trying to compare him to a fucking domestic terrorist.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, each day there seems to be new footage released of these vicious monsters that attack the Capitol. They look like horrible people. And a lot of these Republicans are trying, it was a tourist event. Oh, they were peacefully protesting. And you look at
scaring shit.
You look at them, they're like screaming profanities at the camera. They're like attacking reporters.
Camp Auschwitz shirts, carrying Confederate flag into the Capitol.
They just look like such awful people. Like just people that you're like, I don't even know. I don't want to know the specifics. Just keep them somewhere, and like.
These people didn't represent us. We didn't. When I watched them do that, I didn't think like, oh yeah, they're fighting for our freedom. Like, no, they're literally there to usurp democracy and to basically coronate Trump as the permanent president. That was their main goal.
That's the thing. And I've said this before, and it's worth repeating. I said it like on Twitter last week. I don't say this much because there's no point. There's no point in arguing with these people. But like, these motherfuckers tried to steal my vote. I voted for Biden. Everybody I know voted for Biden. Most of my family voted for Biden, friends and all that. And most people in America voted for Biden. Yeah. And he won more electors and he won more votes. And these motherfuckers are having a temper tantrum and trying to take my vote away from me.
Yeah, they're doing like these bullshit things in Arizona.
The fuck are you? You're going to take all the ballots in Arizona to the Unabomber's old cabin and then have like a bunch of like inbred mutants from Florida, from fucking Jacksonville, Florida, count ballots while taking turns jerking off to Trump's P-tapes.
I don't understand the fascination of Trump. I will never get that. See, there's like a guy on TikTok I saw that made a good point. He goes, these people who like worship Trump and everything, and they'll be like, well, you worship Biden. He's like, no, I actually don't. I just voted for him, and I'm hoping that he does his job. I agree with him on everything he does. I'm just know that he's a more serious person. I don't worship him.
Yeah.
I will disagree with him. Will I vote for him again? Probably, yeah, because I'm not going to vote for the Republicans.
It's looking pretty good.
What?
It's looking pretty good for my vote next time too.
Yeah, yeah, he's probably going to get my vote again. I could probably say like 99.9% because one, I would never. I don't want a Republican ever in power again, especially this Republican Party. The only way Republicans should ever be allowed to get the presidency or anything like that again is if one, they have the commissions.
Yeah.
The people that are responsible face crimes, are removed from political office. That's Matt Gaetz, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Lauren Boebert,
Mo Brooks,
all the Boebers, all the Gomers,
all Goobers and the Boobers. Yep.
All the ones with the all the birds and the moose, everyone who sounds like a potato picking, like hick or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Right. If they have a relative they call Uncle Dad, probably shouldn't. Yeah.
I want to see some goddamn actual results from this. I want to see that and the Republican Party being like, yeah, we're going to get rid of these toxic elements.
Yeah.
But they're not going to.
No,
So that's
no.
why I would never trust them as a party. That's why I don't think like the whole like I think both sides are bad. Well, you're a fucking idiot if you think both sides. Like, I mean, yeah, both sides bad. Yeah, I mean, you can find like things, but to say no, right now the Republican Party is like 100% bad.
Yeah, I would say like it's just not going to happen. They made a deal with the devil. They and that bargain.
I don't even understand this fucking guy. Like, he's bringing up Ashley Babbitt, like Trump, like, and now he's trying to sue Facebook
I know.
and Instagram and all these places because he ignored their terms and services and also used, and they also didn't, you know, again, the Republicans always claim that they're for private businesses and people having freedom and being able to do what they want, but that's not true at all. They're not for freedom. They're not for body autonomy. They're not for any of that stuff. And they're fascists. And they're not for companies making their own decisions.
Yeah.
Companies should have every right to say, you know, we have a term and services that we created and you broke them multiple times. If anything, Twitter should be guilty for allowing Trump to be on it for years.
Yeah, they let him thrive on there. It is frustrating. His lawsuit today, it's just so transparent. Like there's a whole bunch wrong with it. Only the government. The First Amendment is about the government restricting your freedom of speech, not Facebook. Like the government has nothing to do with this, so this isn't a First Amendment issue at all. And second, he's suing in the wrong state. Everything about it's wrong. But like moments after he put out that statement that he's suing, he sent out like a fundraising letter. I need money to fight Facebook, to fight Twitter, to fight. He's going to rake it in overnight. A bunch of like chuds in their 80s are going to be like, oh, we're going to have to double down on eating cat food instead of people food because Trump needs our money, and they're going to do it.
That's what they do. Like, here's a good example, and it's a little different, but like, remember when Gina Carano got fired?
Yeah.
And then Ben Shapiro came out and hired her, and they said they were going to make a movie?
Yes.
It was a huge grift. All these fucking people signed up for the Daily Wire that day. It was all these reactionary morons. They got all these subscribers from idiots that day. Yeah. That's why they do it. Trump does, like you said, they get people that are going to donate and stuff, and it's like, yeah, like you said, he's in the wrong state. He doesn't really have a case.
Nothing about this makes any sense. It's doomed to fail.
It's a distraction because he's being investigated right now. Is he finally being investigated? I know his CFO.
They got his CFO, and there's a lot of chatter now, and I don't know how serious it is, but there's a lot of chatter now that says that they may be moving in on Ivanka. That she has a lot of she has clear instances of perjury, and she's implicated by a lot of documentable financial crimes and stuff. And that something she said not that long ago indicated that she'd flip on Trump. And then there's been a lot of stories about how Trump is mad at Kushner, and so there's like a lot of weirdness. Nobody's saying anything specifically, but I think the story you're supposed to be reading between the lines is that they're going to move on Ivanka. She's going to flip on Trump.
There was a quote I saw the other day or something with Kushner supposedly saying, like, I guess he was asked a question or something, and he said, I don't give a fuck about the future of the Republican Party.
I read that too, yeah.
And I thought it was really funny. I'm like, yeah, good, go. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, what do you think? Like, this guy wasn't ever really a Republican, and neither was like, these people are fucking grifters.
Yeah.
The party let them come in and like fucking just turn the presidency into a joke.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they choose to double down on this family. That's what's so funny.
It's really difficult to figure, but that's exactly what happened.
My favorite thing is Trump's fail son, Eric.
Yeah.
No, not Eric. Don Jr. His fail son, Don Jr. If you ever go on his Twitter feed right there, like half his tweets is just him going after Hunter Biden. It's like he's so jealous of Hunter Biden. It's really funny.
It's crazy. I mean, like I get Hunter Biden is like, I get how Hunter Biden is like, there's probably some issues there in a vague sense, but like, man, who cares? It's like he's not in office. He wasn't given a security clearance. He wasn't part of the administration. He's
inconsequential.
It is, you know. It's like, I don't know. I mean, like, if Biden were putting him in charge of Middle East peace, maybe that's a problem, but that's not what happened. You know, that's like, now you're just playing like maybe games. Like that.
I mean, it's funny though, because it's like this guy is like obsessed with him, and it's so sad. It's like, well, he thinks he's so cool while he's doing it. He's like, yeah, and he does all those drugs as he's snorting coke.
It's just, it's so bizarre, you know. I think too, like it's just it's so weird. Like Biden, look, you can like or not like Biden, and you can like or not like Hunter Biden. But the one thing that seems pretty indisputable is that Joe Biden loves his kid unconditionally. You know, the kid can fuck up all he wants, and Joe Biden's still going to be there and say, "Look, I love you," you know, and come here and.
Or at least give the impression that he does.
Yeah, but I don't know, like whatever. But like,
we know Donald Trump is not give a fuck about his kids except for Ivanka.
Yeah, right. And Ivanka will eventually lose her looks, and he's not going to care about her then either. You know, it's like
you were a 10, and now you're a 3.
Yeah,
I was gonna fuck you once, but those days are gone.
Like Tiffany's daughter or something. And just, you know, it's like, so.
How old are your kids, Ivanka? Are they at least? No, okay, stop now.
Well, it is.
I think it's So of course, that's the thing. The right for years has been complaining about. They've been pushing this thing about how they're treated unfairly on social media.
Yeah.
It's complete fucking horse shit. They have, if anything, because of social media's lack of like actual standards and practices, unlike TV actually has and other media outlets actually have, they have let Nazis thrive on their fucking this guy Michael Edison Hayden, who he's from the senior investigative reporter of Southern Poverty Law Center. He tweeted this thing out today saying basically, at Twitter gave far-right extremists the platform they needed to plan an attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, and the website will enable politically motivated violence again in the future if it isn't reformed. My analysis here. He put out an article about it, and he was calling out today and said, if you work for Twitter and feel disgusted with your boss or your reactionary product, or just watching Andy Ngo trend every week, reach out to me on Signal, and I'll protect your identity for a follow-up.
Nice.
I brought up on his initial tweet, I said, let me see if I can find what I wrote. I said basically how, of course, like how Nick Fuentes was at the thing on the 6th. How he's a verified account on Twitter still, and he's an actual Nazi who has said who tweets out racist shit all the time.
Yeah.
These social media sites are garbage. Like the other day, I found some guy posted some Nazi shit on my page. Like I forgot what it was. That was it. On July 4th, I had an old drawing I did of Drax cutting Hitler.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
the Captain America cover where Captain America's punching Hitler, but Drax is using his like knife.
Sword. Yeah,
he's like, and it was a response to. I originally drew that in reaction to James Gunn getting fired because of Nazi trolls.
Okay, right.
Batista was defending him, so I posted that on. I posted on my Instagram for July 4th because someone posted a drawing of fucking Captain America punching out Hitler. I'm like, I want to post this on there, and I forgot I had 45 instead of swastika on Hitler's on there. I don't care, whatever. But I got some like Nazi shit on my page, and I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" And I went on their page, and it was this horrible, like anti-Semitic memes, like outright, not even like
not even in code.
Debatable. Like this guy's a massive racist, anti-Semite piece of shit. I reported all these different posts. Instagram came back with me on everyone and said, "We don't see anything wrong with it."
It's bizarre. I mean, I've seen some like really horrible stuff on TikTok that I've reported, and then like within like a day it comes back. No, that's good. We're fine with this.
What? How's this good?
Like,
I mean, the only thing that I would think Twitter did that was like somewhat decent was anytime people were posting like outright COVID conspiracies.
Yeah.
Twitter was removing them. Like eventually, it took a while, but they were actually doing. But this is nonsense. This is like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I wish I took screenshots of this guy's post. I should have taken screenshots and then took the screenshots of Instagram basically saying like, oh, we don't see anything wrong with it.
Right.
And then posted that on Twitter so people could see that. Because that's not they have let these guys thrive on there. And I guess I'm just going to bring it up now. I know we were going to talk about it later, but I'll talk about it with a good example is like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, I've heard him multiple times say, and he repeats the same rhetoric that the right repeats, which was that like the Twitter is so big that it should be treated like a utility, like the town park,
right.
or whatever, that everyone could just be able to say whatever they want. And that's complete horseshit, and he knows that's not true. It's like he just wants his buddy Alex Jones to make sure that he could sell boner pills to dumbasses.
Yeah.
Unquestioned on Twitter, allow Alex Jones to tweet out or put on YouTube, whatever.
I can't believe Alex Jones is still,
so he could sell garbage to idiots.
Yeah, I thought the Sandy Hook families had sued him into oblivion, but they apparently have not.
He'll be around forever. I mean, is he making as much money as he was? I don't know. I'm sure he found other ways to make money.
Oh yeah.
But he's not. I talk about this too in the past. I said about like all these people claiming that free speech. I'm like, this has nothing to do with free speech. This was like there was a profit motive behind Alex Jones. Besides him being incredibly toxic and having people's lives endangered, he's also raking in the dough by using it for people who would order from his survival catalog bullshit.
Yeah.
So talking about Joe Rogan, like I said, and how he repeats right-wing rhetoric, I think we kind of got to the point on the other stuff. I tweeted out this thing the other day. So like after Rush Limbaugh died, they've been saying it for years. Who's going to be the next king? Who's going to be the next right-wing, like, who's going to be the new Rush?
King of the Chuds.
Who's going to be the king of the Chuds? The king of the Chuds. King of the North. The king of the Chuds.
Yeah.
And we're not going to make them like cool, like White Walkers. Cool.
Right.
King of the Chuds. King of the Chuds. They look like the boils on the people in like the characters in Time.
Yeah.
I said after Rush Limbaugh died, everyone was wondering who on the right will be the new Rush. I've come to realize that person is Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
It's a different style, technique, and a bit more modern. But Rogan still leads his audience to almost the same exact place as Limbaugh. And the reason why I tweeted that was because like I saw this thing with him just talking about like the woke police or something else.
Yeah.
Like, oh, get the fuck out of here. This is like right-wing bullshit, right-wing talk. He was going on about like trans people and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, like the people who listen to Rush Limbaugh, the ones who were like the real proud ditto heads.
Yeah.
Those people were like outright racist. Like they were like proud of it. The people that listen to Rogan probably would like to think that they're more modern. They're not like their dad. They're not like their grandpa. They're not like that. But at the end of the day, they're racist too. Or they're transphobic, homophobic, or whatever. So Rogan is different. He's more marketable. He's never been truly perceived as a political person.
Right.
He is. He's a political person. He's part of it. Like, can he interview a celebrity like Robert Downey Jr. and not make it like too weird and that Robert Downey Jr. promote his movie? No, I think he could totally do that. He's a professional actor. He's been doing it for years. But I think he's just a modern. I think he's the one. It's not Ben Shapiro, or Steven Crowder, or any of these people. Those people are obnoxious.
Well, they're not like men of the people, They're
just not.
Yeah, Rush is. I thought that was a really good analogy you made, but I think that Rush and Joe Rogan, I think, shares this. They come off as like very smart, but like not too smart, like good common sense.
Rogan will constantly tell you he's a dumbass, but he's not that stupid.
But that's not what he portrays. He's like, I'm inquisitive and I'm smart, and you're smart too, because you're like me, and it's kind of a very effective appeal to listeners where I don't know, they have the same kind of shtick.
Like, again, it's different. It's a market. It's how they market themselves. So like Rush's audience, he was already old, and he represents like, older thinking and stuff like that. But it led to people voting for the GOP and just hating Democrats or hating progressive values or hating anything that's like woke or whatever SJW thing. Rogan does the same shit.
Yeah.
He does literally the same shit. And if he doesn't do it, he has a guest on that does it.
Yeah.
People will be like, oh, we had Bernie on and he endorsed him. Who the fuck cares? He gave a super, super tepid endorsement to Bernie Sanders. I couldn't even, he literally said, I guess it'd be Bernie, but I guarantee you if Bernie Sanders was the nominee, Rogan would have backpedaled his way out of it.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly
totally backpedaled his way out. He'd be like, I was for him, but I didn't like what he said about the cops, or I didn't like what he said about guns.
He would be like all the Republicans that supported Tulsi, and then Tulsi gets the nod, and she's running against Trump, and they're like, she just doesn't have the experience. I'm going with Trump. They just want to fuck with the Democratic process, Democratic primary, and Rogan, then once.
Rogan was. Because they knew that Bernie was considered always an outside agitator. I voted for Bernie in the primaries.
I was going to
vote for Democrat who I was going to do that anyway because I'm not going to fucking let Trump get 4 more years. Like, that's insane. But like, I feel like it was to create agitation. I don't think he was really endorsing Bernie. And again, it couldn't have been.
Yeah, I agree.
And if anything, it probably hurt Bernie. I know people were like, I don't know, all these people are like, oh, you guys are worried about trans people or SJWs. We need health care. It's like, progressive values is everything. You can't just, you can't be like, oh, I'm okay with racism I'm okay with bigotry and racism and people getting fucking killed for being something. As long as I get Medicare for all, I'm a true progressive. I'm a left. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's another, you're going in some Nazi territory shit right there.
Well,
I remember I think it hurt Bernie in the end. I don't think it helped.
I don't know that it helped or hurt him, but what I do know is that Joe Rogan's endorsement of was disingenuous. That's what I'm confident of. And I don't think Joe Rogan brings anything to the table in a positive way, and that's kind of where I begin and end on it.
COVID denier.
Yep.
He was pushing fake information about it. He was pushing all kinds of bullshit. He pushing anti-vaxxer shit. A lot of nonsense. And he'd say shit like this guy. Come on, you telling me he's this guy who will listen to anybody? Like, he was saying every day that Joe Biden was basically had oatmeal for brains, while completely ignoring Trump, who couldn't complete a fucking sentence without slurring his words. I mean,
I never understood that knock on. Like, Joe Biden's clearly a very bright guy with a huge wealth of knowledge and experience about how the world works.
Yeah, like he actually has like real experience. Like, he talks about like other countries and stuff. He has like a knowledge of it.
And just off the top of my head, Donald Trump is a muffin-brained dunderhead who wanted to nuke hurricanes and who wanted to bleach veins and who took a fucking Sharpie to a hurricane map and added Alabama to the mix. I mean,
because the evil news guy said that the hurricane changed course. The hurricane changed course because that's what it did. The news guy didn't make it do that.
Yeah.
He just did it. And Trump didn't like that. So he drew lines to show that, like, he's like, no, the hurricane, like, that is insane.
And Trump couldn't think his way out of a paper bag, and it's just.
And Rogan pushed him. He basically endorsed him. So, like I said, and since he's gone to Spotify and moved to Texas, he's way more conservative than he was. Anytime I see anything of his, I don't watch him at all anymore. I stopped watching him back in April last year because of he started pushing COVID misinformation.
Well,
I only watched depending on certain guests that he had.
Yeah.
But once he Go ahead. What?
I don't even think he's that skilled of an interviewer or interesting. I mean, like, he's okay, but like, I don't know. I don't get the appeal of Joe Rogan.
I just think that the person that he's the new Rush. He really is. He is pushed. I think it's hysterical when people say things like, "Oh, you listen to corporate news." Okay, you listen to Rogan, who is a corporate shill. Also, he's owned by Spotify.
Yeah,
like it's a $1 billion industry. You moron.
Yeah.
Like, not you. I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't have anything to say about it. I just think that, like, and I think that in the next couple of years, that you'll hear other people say that comparison. So, hey, guys, you heard this here first. I predicted this. Joe Rogan is Rush Limbaugh. He's the new Rush Limbaugh. He is the guy. He, again, like, just for a wrap it up, he's the guy. He's the last man. He's the last. It's like, dude, they're trying to. Those SJWs, they're trying to take away your masculinity. But here comes this bro who's the fucking spokesman of the UFC. You don't get any more fucking bro than UFC, dude.
Right.
And he loves weed. And, he likes having a good time, But he's also pushing right-wing bullshit and right-wing conspiracies and everything.
And it's low-hanging fruit, too. He goes after trans people. He goes after some, like, pretty vulnerable populations, which just makes it even more odious.
And he says the real problem of the world is wokeness. Yeah.
That's the real problem.
You know that the fire in the ocean last week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what caused that?
Woke. The ocean got woke.
It got woke, and you know what happens when you go woke?
I heard in a small town in eastern Texas the other day that someone got woke and 30 people wound up dead from assault rifle fire. It was just like out of the blue.
Wait, did that really happen, or is this like
no? But
it
probably happened. It probably happened.
Clearly, that's the real problem. Like that building that fell in Miami.
Yep.
Because it was woke.
Yeah. Well, this would be a good place to transition to the next topic, because we saw, or you showed me footage of people at a Walmart.
Oh, this was like so beautiful. This was like
got woke all of us.
This was so amazing. I had a tear in my heart. I was like, I love my country so much, and it was so beautiful seeing these people at a store at Walmart singing the national anthem. Yeah. Everyone in a weird, not in a weird culty way at all, in a bizarre. Okay, I'm just kidding. It was fucking lame as shit. So like, there's footage of a Walmart, not far from us actually, only 20 minutes away, I guess.
Right.
Cool. That's awesome, right? It makes you feel good living in Texas, right?
Yes.
It's awesome.
Well, to be fair, I most recently lived in Florida, so I don't have like.
Oh, I lived in Chico, which is like.
Florida is the likely home of Loki alligator. So.
Loki alligator is awesome though. Chico is like Ron Paul's armpit.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I guess like there's this footage. I don't know how it started out, but like some person was singing the national anthem, and then everyone sang along in this Walmart. Yeah. And I think it's great. I think it's so great that we can sing the national anthem in a store that is like responsible for destroying the manufacturing industry in our country and destroying unions, and basically just making this country shittier over the past decade.
Yes, it has done a lot of damage.
Like all the products in China that are at Walmart are basically sold in China. Like literally everything in Walmart. They should literally just call the store China Mart, because literally almost nothing is made there. And if anything claims to be made there, well, guess what? It's definitely made in states that do not have their right to work states. So there's no unions. You don't have to worry about it. Keep those prices low, baby.
Yeah.
And, I remember that, like, as right to work states started becoming more even bigger, like I would start hearing more like jobs are coming back here, or things are being made here again, or something. And it was like,
right, yeah,
just stop giving people health care and giving them like a good job, a good pay, yeah, we can make the product here again. So that because Walmart demands low cost, Walmart demands low price, because they have a perceived low price. I think it's really funny too because I think it was in one of those shitty supermarket Walmarts.
Yeah,
local store or whatever.
Walmart neighborhood.
Yeah, if you see a neighborhood Walmart, usually, now I can't say that about all of them, but most of them tend to be pre-existing supermarkets that they bought out.
Yeah, that is true.
Those pre-existing supermarkets probably had unions.
Yeah.
Probably treated their employees better. Just let you know, most supermarkets, I worked in the supermarket when I was younger and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
And I can't speak for the entire country, but I worked at Wellbounds and they were a big union place. And I remember I ended up going to like I lost my job for a reason I'm not going to get into. I'll say that. I ended up working at this other supermarket and they were really anti-union. Like they didn't like that I was joining the union. They were like,
I worked at a store like that, Publix.
They were like really pushing not to be in the union. I thought that was interesting. But I just think it's funny. It's just pathetic. It's like, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Let's sing the national anthem in a Walmart. Like nothing says America like that.
Well, I think that would have been touching. Look, if that had happened on September 12th, back after the World Trade Center attacks,
like the first September 12th. Yes,
the September 12th. I'd have been like, oh, that is kind of like heartwarming, like look at that, we're all kind of one,
Great.
But that's not how things have kind of panned out, like those types of things are generally like, I don't know, to me it's like, I'm not going to say it quite like that, but like it's more like intimidatory or something, it's like,
right, it's not meant to really unify.
It's not meant to unify.
No, it's like, if anything, it's like fascistic.
Yeah, it is a us against them, just in case there's any trans people here, we want you to know how we feel.
It's like the people when you come here to Texas, it says like, don't mess with Texas.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds cutesy and stuff, but it's actually like really repulsive.
It is weird. I've been thinking a lot about like the American, like on Twitter, like if you see someone with an American flag in their bio, for a long time, it seemed like a pretty safe bet that they were going to be assholes, like that is what it was. And then like I started like every once in a while, I'd like comment to people like something snarky and I'd add a flag emoji, like, oh, good. I'm glad those insurrectionists are being thrown in prison. Hope they rot there. Little American flag.
Those terrorists.
Yeah, something like that. And then it really got me thinking, like, why? Like, I'm down with America. I mean, like, I like America. When we've talked before about like how voting. I mean, like a lot of the shit we talk about is like pretty patriotic. It's frustrating to have like the least patriotic segment of our population co-opt all the imagery associated with
right. I mean, these are the same people that usually like will wave a Confederate flag unironically while like waving the American flag or waving a thin blue line flag. I mean,
yeah,
what about desecrating the flag? What the fuck is that? That's not like, that's desecrating the flag. What the fuck is that? What? May as well like fucking have a Kekistan flag. You ever heard of that? That like weird internet Nazi.
Oh yeah.
Flag? I mean, like, I don't know. And it's like I said, it's in a fucking Walmart. It's so stupid. It must be, like that's it. That's all you need. Wow, my God, what a beautiful. Like this country is so amazing in that marketing.
Yeah,
all marketing, and all these people. It's like, dude, you're in a Walmart and you get to like, get soda like really cheap.
Well,
it's awesome, right? Oh, that's so cool. Let's sing the national anthem at the store. I mean, it
reminded me too of one of those pillars of Islam where like all good Muslims are supposed to bow to Mecca 5 times a day and recite a prayer and whatnot. And I just thought, like, it is weird, like the radical right wing so criticizes that behavior from, you know, the Islamic world, but like they do the same type of rituals, you know, and they it's such a screwy thing.
Oh, I know. They practice Sharia law too.
Yeah.
But it's Christo-fascism.
Right. I mean, like
they want to take away women's body autonomy.
Yeah. Well, I was talking, and we don't have to move on quite yet, but I know we're going to talk about teachers and body cameras next. And like a lot of people are saying that teachers should wear there should be classroom cameras in the classroom to catch teachers talking about critical race theory. And I'm like, look, man, for every one teacher you catch talking about critical race theory, you're going to catch like 9,000 talking about their religion, about how you should listen to Jesus.
But they want that. They want the religion.
I'll tell you though, if you put cameras in classrooms, I worked at schools where the biology teachers would talk about like Noah's Ark and shit, and where they would right up in class talk about how like life begins at conception and that's why abortion is immoral. If you put cameras in classrooms, buckle up, because there's going to be one angry atheist in every school district in the country.
Right. No, I know that's
marching off to court.
About like these reactionary chuds is that they always end up screwing themselves.
Yeah.
They want to take away rights away from people, this and this, and like eventually it's going to hit themselves in the ass. They want to bring attention to something, and it's like you're just bringing attention to everything. So yeah, you would see video on Twitter immediately or anywhere else going around of a woman telling kids that like evolution isn't real,
right?
Or that like there's no such thing as global warming, because you know there are teachers that do that.
Yeah, constantly, and that you would see that for everyone. Look, I taught for a long time. You think teachers are fucking teaching critical race theory in high school or middle school? That's not happening. There may be some concepts of it or whatever, but like you got like a ton of shit to do as a teacher. You don't have time to like.
Okay,
what do they think? There's going to be like 3-day long seminars on critical. You're like trying to keep Jimmy from eating paste. That's the majority of the time in class.
Stop eating paste.
90% of your time is writing bathroom passes. You think you're going to have like
okay, so it's ironic that these idiots, like, they want the teachers. First of all, wow, talk about like government overreach.
Yeah,
right there. Like,
that's the headline. Republicans want to film your child. That should be the headline if you're against
this. They want
this.
to film your child. They want to watch Big Brother. They want a fucking Big Brother camera.
Matt Gaetz wants to film your children. I always love
when, like, the right-wingers talk about 1984. They try to co-opt 1984. But it's like, dude, that is literally 1984 right there. Yeah. Cameras in the classroom, taping, having an eye. You might just have a big eye on the wall. Like, I mean, what the fuck?
Under his eye.
Literally 1984. But the ironic thing, too, is ironic.
Yeah.
That they want cameras in, but they don't, because they don't want kids to learn critical race theory. Yeah. They also don't want cameras on the cops, so that the cops can get away with, even though they do it anyway with the cameras, but like they even more kill black people or Hispanics, whatever they deem, minorities or whatever, or even white people. The other day some cop killed some white kid over nothing, basically.
Yeah, he was like changing a tire or something.
Yeah. I mean, so they want to take away, they want the cop not to have the camera, right? Yeah. So the cop can do his job. Yeah. But the teacher, how dare the teacher teach the kids to, But I guess if the kids learn critical race theory and some of them actually learn something, we're going to have a potential police force that won't be as outright reaction and, killing a black person as their first move.
Yeah.
Because maybe they learned some things when they were a kid, like.
Yeah. It took me like 2 days in an advanced history course to teach kids that Aladdin wasn't based on a true story. So I wasn't exactly getting into any like super deep conversations about.
Let's get into Marxist theory.
Right. That was like not That was not in the cards. Okay.
I have to explain to kids that there's no flying carpets and like there's no genies in bottles. Once we got through that, I can get through this critical race theory that or Jimmy eating paste.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, like my thought, and I know I'm not saying that my idea is a good one or anything, but when I first heard this as a former teacher, I was like, you know what? I'd have no problem with cameras in my classroom. And I say that for a bunch of reasons. First of all, like, look, the entire world is on camera anyway. Every fast food worker, every grocery store worker, a lot of cops, a lot of attorneys now are on. A lot of people are just filmed every day as part of their regular life. I don't have like a huge problem in general anymore with this. Two, if you think teachers aren't being filmed constantly by students with cell phones, you're living in some sort of weird denial world.
I think they have to confiscate the cell phone sometimes.
Yeah, well, they constantly, you see like a buddy give his cell phone to a friend and say, hey, start filming. And then they're like, hey, Mrs. Johnson, why are you so ugly? And then they start filming and Mrs. Johnson loses her shit. And the kid's like, I just asked what the capital of North Dakota was. And she will, and so like teachers are filmed constantly. And third, like, there's probably some utility in looking at your work and teaching and figuring out what you did well and what you didn't do well. And then my last argument was that like 99% of the problems I had in school could have been solved with videotape. Like,
but that's not what all of the reasons you gave for the video has nothing to do with what they want.
But like
it's just reactionary bullshit because the right wing, Tucker Carlson and Fox and Republicans are like, they can't do the bathroom bill all the time. They can't do that. They can't just elect the trans kids all the time. They can't do that. So the new thing, they're workshopping. They're like, what are going to be our big things for next year? Like we literally have nothing to run on. Like, we're not going to give people healthcare. We're not going to give them anything they need. So we got to give them fear. So what fear do we have? Critical race theory. I mean, like I said, again, poor choice of words, because you have academics who work in academia. They're working in their circles, and they don't think of Jimmy eats paste. They don't have what's his face, that fucking guy who would come up with like, blue skies or whatever. What was that? Frank Luntz. They don't writing the name for critical race theory. So it sounds kind of like cold, and
it does. Critical is a harsh word, and race is like a buzzword, and theory is like, well, you're not even sure about it. It's like the worst. The worst three words ever.
Created by people who are like, well, I wrote this for my peers in my study. This is my thesis in an article. I wasn't worried about, I didn't write this. So Tucker Carlson.
It's like calling a children's toy vicious nard shredder. Like it's just, even if it's really fun, no one's going to buy their kid a vicious nard shredder. Well, I don't know. I know that like, any problem I had teaching could have been solved if they had filmed the class. If someone's like, hey, why did my kid fail? I'd be like, I don't know, let's rewind the tape. Oh, Jimmy was unconscious 73% of the time. And the 27% of the time he was awake, he was balls deep in a Friends marathon on Netflix when we were trying to get through lesson 2. Like that's why Jimmy failed.
I had a guy I worked with. Oh man, I always bring this up. He brought it up. I'm watching stuff. There's this one guy who worked in a place who would. This is work. It's not class. It's not school, but still, he got caught. Like, he'd either be watching like the Jeffersons all day,
nice,
or women breastfeeding.
Oh fuck!
Sometimes at the same time. Oh, he's really busy watching videos of women. What the fuck?
I'm gonna set up a Zoom meeting. I'll send you a invitation. Yeah. I don't know, man. I had this one girl.
I miss office work for stories like that.
I had a girl. I taught 12th grade English, and we did a lot of reading and whatever, and stuff like that. And every fucking day she'd come in and watch Friends on her Chromebook. And I'd walk over there and I'd be like, look, I'm not gonna get on your case about this. I don't have I'm working with other kids that want to learn shit and everything. You're not gonna pass if you just watch Friends every day. Watch, like, Friends 180.
What season you up to? You up to the Paul Rudd season?
Yeah, she watched all the Friends, and then she watched, and it was like, then she failed. She got like no questions right about anything. And
one on Joey and Rachel.
Her mom's like, why did Candace fail? I was like, she fucking watched Friends all day. Like, that's all she did, is she watched Friends. I don't know what to tell you. I told her not to. But look, I got like a bunch of kids. I don't know. Anyway, so if I had film of her watching Friends every day, I could be like, hey, Mrs. Jimmy, your kid's watching Friends again. I don't even want to talk to her about this shit. I was like,
yeah, I just want to let you know that your daughter's. I told you don't believe me, but here's the video, and you probably still won't believe me, so it doesn't matter. Because again, we live in a world where even video evidence.
Yeah, it's post-reality. Yeah,
clearly you doctored it. That's Antifa. Antifa did that.
I don't know, man.
I want to. Oh shit! I was gonna say not the Jefferson thing and the lactation.
That's hilarious.
But, man, I totally forgot what I was gonna say about the whole watching. Oh, that's it. One of my favorite Simpsons episodes.
Yeah.
Is when Ralph had like a question or something, and the teacher goes, Ralph, just go back to sleep while the other children learn. I thought that was like one of the best, like, understand, like, it's like so fucked up.
It is. It's
look, that's why I'm a Viking.
Yeah, right. That's why he turned out to be the QAnon shaman. If it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I get the idea. Like, you should make a stand and say, look, no, we're not going to film teachers because that implies that they're doing something wrong. And X, Y, and Z. I mean, I get the idea that you should draw a line in the sand or whatever, but like,
I just think it's hysterical that they're such crazy. They're fascists. That's like their go-to thing is, we don't want cameras on the cops, so the cops can stomp their boots on people. But the teachers, they need to have cameras on, so kids don't learn.
I'll tell you though, man. If you had that will go nowhere. If you had cameras in the classrooms, within 72 hours, you would have parents demanding that they turn off the cameras, because immediately they would all be confronted with videos of their mouth breathing little monsters, not paying attention, back talking. I mean, it would just be like,
they would have cameras on, but this is different. Like when Roger was like in kindergarten, they would have cameras in the classroom we could watch it.
Oh yeah. That's like,
so they're like 5-year-olds are like 1% away from being a dog.
Honestly, like I said, I wouldn't have minded being filmed. In fact, like sometimes like you would have observers from the college come in, like the teaching college, they want to learn how to be a teacher. They would come in and ask if they could videotape stuff. And I never had a problem with it. I mean, I kind of liked the idea of like looking at a piece of film afterwards and seeing like, well, what did I do well? What didn't I do well? All that. I get that that's not what they're trying to do with this, but honestly, as like someone who taught for a long time, cameras in the classroom, that ain't a bad idea. It's not if used for like productive purposes,
right? For actual real reasons, actually better education. But
right.
Here's the funny thing: if you sold it like that, all those reactionary chuds that are anti-critical race theory would be against everything.
Yeah, I know.
They would be like, whoa, what do you mean you're teaching? Oh, you're going to do this? You're going to do that? And you're going to be like, what? I mean, that's like actually like what you just said is an excellent way to get these people to be like, no, I don't want cameras in the classroom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like duck season, rabbit season right there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah. And like I said, I'm not a teacher anymore. I don't care. I'm pretty well informed with my kids' teachers to know if there's a problem or not a problem. I'd like to think, but yeah, I mean, like, it's a weird issue because, like, I think this is one of those issues where you might find like a lunatic like Matt Gaetz wanting cameras in the classroom. Yeah, I bet you he does.
Yeah, he wants.
We need to find out what's going on in the locker rooms. We need to.
Yeah, can you put him in the girls' locker room?
But you might find some nutcases that are looking for an imaginary, monster that doesn't exist. But
you're indoctrinating our children to Marxist theory.
Yeah, I talked about I talked about Marxism and critical theory and feminism and stuff like that. My kids read the book The Handmaid's Tale and all sorts of like you think To Kill a Mockingbird doesn't have a little element of critical race theory? It's like required reading
like the whole plot of the book.
Yeah, it's like required reading in about 100% of schools.
It's almost hysterical because it's like, and we'll move on after this. It's like. You remember like that? I think that woman got transferred. Got transferred. The woman with the yearbook. So there was we talked about this before, and not our school where kids go to, but
same district.
Same district. There was a junior high that in their yearbook had some empathetic things in the back.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter.
Things, all these different things, and a bunch of reactionary chuds in the school. Some of them that didn't even have kids that go to the school anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
Lost their fucking mind and wanted the teacher and the teacher fired, the principal fired, everyone fired involved. How dare my, and it's hysterical because it's like, this is Marxism, and I'm like, why is everything that teaches your kid not to be a piece of shit is Marxism? Yeah. You should think about that a little bit. Like maybe you should think about that a bit. Like, why is, like, you think the American dream is being a piece of shit?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, a lot of
how are we like united as a people? Like, do people give a fuck about each other? Like, if you looked at the yearbook, there was nothing offensive about it. It was like
it was a collection of things that were important that year. It's like if you put a picture of like the fall, like when we were younger, like the fall of the Berlin Wall. That's just a big thing that happened that year. You're not making some sort of socio-political comment about communism and Americanism or whatever. It's like, even if you were a critical Marxist or whatever, you admit that was in a big event, that warrants mentioning in the yearbook as like something that occurred that year. So
I just think it's hysterical that anything that's like mentioning like caring about people or like not being a racist piece of shit is Marxist, and I think that's really funny in a way. It's like a big tell on their part,
for sure.
But oh my god, wasn't that great when they did the national anthem at the Walmart?
At the Walmart, yeah.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
Right.
It's so beautiful. You know what would have been really funny is if while they did that, the power went out.
Well, if it was in Texas, odds are pretty good that it could have.
Like it was, the power grid failed.
Yeah.
Like right when they're about to get to the end of it, it's like, dude.
Yeah.
That would have been so American.
Right, yeah.
So we're going to talk about COVID. I don't really have much to say about it. It's just like it's still here.
Yeah.
Not anymore. And there's a lot of morons that won't get vaccinated.
Well, there are. I saw something on the news tonight, and I've seen it like over the last week or whatever, where basically what they're saying is these red states are getting really hammered by COVID, and the blue states, it's largely become not so much a problem, and the blue states is still going on. I mean, it's not like COVID's been eliminated or anything, but more of the population has been vaccinated, more of the population wore masks or still wear masks, more of the population, washes their hands regularly and it adheres to basic stuff like that. Whereas like some of the red states, like very few people are getting vaccinated. Most of them congregate in thick crowds at hog wrestling competitions and stuff. And, it's just like, it's two different worlds. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that means nationally or globally, but yeah, it's still a pretty significant problem.
It's just how politicized it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's so stupid. That's why it's like a joke too. Like these motherfuckers singing like national anthem at a Walmart. It's like you fuckers couldn't even wear a mask. Like half of these people, like we're not united. If anything, this like COVID has proved to be like a disaster. Did you see that tweet where everyone was shitting on Henry Winkler?
Oh yeah, Henry Winkler.
I only bring it up because of the
the people were comparing him to the Watchmen guy.
Who?
What was his tweet? They're comparing him to Ozymandias.
All right, so Henry Winkler. Oh yes, because he said something like that. Henry Winkler, this thing that was, I guess he must have thought it was a good thing. Henry Winkler, the star of
the
Fonz, not the show The Fonz, but Happy Days.
Yeah.
The lawyer on Arrested Development.
Yes.
Barry. He's great. He's great.
Icon. Yeah.
But he had this tweet that was just to knock. It was like, we need an event, like some horrible event. Like he's asking for like 9/11 2.0.
Like a giant squid.
Yeah, he wants Ozymandias. If we just had a giant squid that wiped out the population, or the movie version where Dr. Manhattan's and live a nuclear bomb, and if he went off, we could, with all that, we could get the world united. And I'm like, and all these people were tweeting like, dude, we had a horrible event. It was called COVID, and everyone like proved that they were not united. And you know what? 9/11, despite what Glenn Beck said, we were not united.
No,
we were living in fucking fear.
Yeah,
that was not being united. We were in fear. We saw massive over 1,000-foot tall buildings fall on my TV. That doesn't happen. It never happened. And we saw like all these other things happen, and it all happened once. That was not. Yeah, we were singing the national anthem because we were shitting our fucking pants. People were jumping out of buildings 1,000 feet up because they didn't want to. It was easier to die that way than to like melt and suffocate to death in a building. Like that was not being united. That was like shitting bricks. And George W. Bush was president. We knew he was a fucking idiot. We were like, oh my God, what's he gonna do? Like, thank God it didn't happen when Trump was president. Let me just say that as I think Bush was and getting us on Iraq. I think
good Lord.
Trump would have got us into a nuclear war that day.
Well, he would have hired like 7 of the worst, dumbest people on the planet to like plan a response. It would have been like Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Joe Rogan, the Subway guy, Jared,
The Apprentice,
Mike Lindell.
Yeah, Mike Lindell. What do you think, Mike Lindell?
Herschel Walker.
I think I'm going to give everyone a code and they'll get 20% off a pillow.
Yeah, that would have been your
really nice. That's very patriotic of you.
That would have been your war room. Is like that group.
Yeah. No, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying, like the whole like. I remember Glenn Beck was like, "What do you need?" I remember Glenn Beck used to say dumb shit like when Obama was president. When he was scaring his audience into buying overpriced gold.
Right.
What the show was. He would say dumb shit like, "We need 9/12 moment." That's when we were united. And I was like, "Were we? We weren't united. We were." I saw people like throwing bricks through like Arab-owned restaurants. They were going after people who were anyone brown, literally. I remember hearing stories of people like punching cab drivers in New York.
Yeah, I remember hearing that too.
What the fuck is that? Like these people, like that's not united. I guess like some white people were united in some areas. Good for them, I guess. I mean, I don't know what. So I don't know. I think like Henry Winkler was being very aloof. Because COVID was the real test of like unity, because we didn't have buildings falling. We had people dropping dead by the minute, but people don't see it. If it didn't happen in their community, they had no fucking idea. They weren't living in New York City. They didn't see. There were people who lived in New York City that saw body bag trucks. There were graves. Remember they were making those masks?
Yeah, I remember. I saw it on TV. It was crazy.
Right. So, I mean, it was just, Henry Winkler just sounded incredibly aloof. It was like really funny. And like I said, I don't think the guy's, I don't know him or anything. I don't know he's a bad person. I think he just got a moment of rich idiot actor.
Yeah, that happens.
Rich boomer actor idiot moment.
The guy's real old. I mean, too. He's got to be like 97 years old or something.
No. Not that. I know, right? He was the Fonz. He was 63.
Yeah. He was
break my hip.
How old is he? Do you have it right there?
I'm pulling it up.
I found it.
33. Wow.
No, mine says 75.
75.
Yeah.
He's great on Barry.
He is good. Yeah, he's just a great guy.
I like that everything he was in is like the opposite of the Fonz.
Yeah.
He never ever like really played a Fonz type character outside of it. It's almost like everyone else is just kind of like a nebbishy little thing. I think that's great.
I do too. Well, I did
don't think it was maliciousness on his part.
Nah, he's just a little clueless.
Naive. You know.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny. Someone tweeted like Henry Winkler as Ozymandias was not what I expected this morning.
I mean, that's really funny. Maybe if he had like an alien invasion, Bill Pullman can give a speech. Yeah, that's the funny thing is with the national anthem people. I think I tweeted something. I said all these idiots watched Independence Day way too much.
Oh yeah.
Like you live in a cartoon. But yeah, COVID proved we were not united.
Yeah.
And it still proves it to this day.
It's a shame too, because like, I don't know. I mean, like, I think it'll be interesting to see how eventually they'll look at how I believe Trump made it this way. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have to be this way. There's been plenty of instances.
Trump and right-wing media and stuff. Yeah. I'm going back to Rogan, the new Rush Limbaugh. Like one of the things he would do, I remember this seeing clip or something like that. He would do this bullshit where it was like, all the doctors say like wear a mask, do these things, but he's like, oh, but like YouTube's stopping like these doctors from getting a word out. The ones that push bullshit like Dr. Drew shit or something,
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I mean. I guess we're just going to talk about the Olympics real quick.
Yeah, we'll wrap up on that. I guess I never really even talked to you about what we were going to talk about with this, but were you talking about that runner, the Olympian runner who was disqualified
for like ridiculous? And I don't know. I remember as a kid, I always think the Olympics was awesome.
Me too. Yeah.
And then talk about unity, like it's like world unity.
Yeah.
And then you find out and then I started watching like what's that? Goodman, is that her name? It's that news show. It's oh shit. Hold on.
Well, while you're looking for that, I used to love the Olympics as a kid, and as an adult, my wife
Democracy Now.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right. My wife is into the Olympics, and we watch it with our kid. It's not like religiously, but it's a fun kind of event. The pageantry of it and all that.
I remember watching like Democracy Now! Or something. They're finding out like how horrible it is when like the Olympics gets picked by certain countries and they just like displace their people and they like destroy things. They funnel all this money in. It's so corrupt, and they make these stadiums that never get used again. It's a huge fucking waste of resource. There's all kinds of shit. But okay, so that's not what we were talking about though.
Right.
It kind of made me jade about the Olympics years ago. The harsh truth. It's like when you find out too about like what is it? The soccer. That one's like super corrupt.
Oh, that one's super. Yeah, the World Cup one. That's
World Cup supposedly like absolutely awful when it comes to like really what kind of impact it does.
Yeah.
There's this woman who's a runner who basically like she can't run. Right. That's it. It's done.
I think they kicked her out of the Olympics. She smoked marijuana immediately.
Like a cigarette? That's an Arrested Development line.
Oh yeah,
smoked it like a cigarette.
Right. I think it was she smoked it. It could have been an edible or whatever. But after hearing that her mother had passed away, she used marijuana. Look, for all I know or for all I care, she uses marijuana regularly. Don't matter to me. I
don't give a shit. Yeah. I think it's bullshit that she. Well, one, it was like, okay, I'm not gonna get into it or anything like that. Like. I think there's a little bit of like racism and sexism thrown in here. It just is. It just is. It always is. And like you would see like what's that one Olympic swimmer, that really big Michael Phelps?
Yeah.
You make a big deal about what a huge fucking podhead he was, and it's like it was actually good for him at like level them out. I think he's like on the spectrum a bit and like help.
Yeah, sure, I can see that.
And they would like talk about all these things, and it's like, oh, that's great. I mean, I don't know if he was using it when he was swimming, but they would talk about it all the time.
That was no snorkel. That was no.
Yeah, he's smoking. Here's the bomb. He's lethal move. Octobomb.
Right. He's sunk to a depth of 6 feet. He's broken out the gravity bong. He's broken out.
But like, I just think it's complete bullshit.
It is.
It's complete fucking bullshit. And this is something we're seeing a lot as like weed becomes legal in a lot of states, or becomes more acceptable. It's become more socially acceptable. The arguments against weed have gotten weaker over the years. Kind of like how the arguments against gay marriage. It's like kind of like a similarity in some ways, and like
that's true.
Arguments die down, and it's like people start seeing the money. It's like one of the first states I think to legalize weed really was like Colorado,
yeah.
And everyone saw how much like money the state was
right.
Doing. Everyone was like, ooh. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, you know?
Yeah.
But you have people who are like serving in prison still.
That's
because of weed.
Crazy.
Like, selling like, I don't know, a bag of weed or something. Get somebody like still stuck in prison. Like that's bullshit. They should be let out. I mean, they've talked about that. I think Biden talked about that around the camp. I don't know if any of that's ever going to come.
They should. I mean, I think there's a practical, like, look, anybody in jail or on parole or probation for simple marijuana possession should be released or have their record expunged. Or it should just be a blanket thing. I mean, that should be it. Now, I think it's a little more complicated when you get into like marijuana trafficking, or, I committed armed robbery and then I was on probation and I got caught with marijuana. Like, I'm willing to admit that there's probably some instances where
right, not everything is going to be so
yes.
Black and white when it comes to like, but like if you're in regardless, it's just there's a stigma. It seems like weed's fine, but once like weed is involved with like lower community people of color, all of a sudden now it's a stigma.
Right.
It's cool when Seth Rogen does it.
Yeah. Well, it's fun.
When Bill Maher talks about it, maybe it's not that cool.
Well, the whole idea of like, I don't know. I mean, I go back.
It's complete bullshit. It's not a stimulant. It's not helping her run faster.
No.
It's complete horseshit. And then someone brought like, oh, she can qualify in 4 years. You know what? This is like her prime.
Yeah.
This is her prime, actually. Like, what is she, like a long distance runner or something?
I don't know, but I know 4 years is a long time when you're young, when at any age, but like.
She's like, what, 20? Like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is really like, this is like every day, every year. It's like, it's like football players. They don't retire at 60.
No, they retire like in their late 20s,
30s. They're lucky if they live to like, what's that one dude who's like a MAGA chud that everyone loves? Tom Brady, what is he, like 100?
Tom Brady, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Isn't he like 40 or something?
Quarterbacks, though, they don't get hit. Like the game is designed to protect quarterbacks. Like
everyone gets hit for him.
Linebackers retire like when they're 24 and they can't walk by the time they're 25.
Right. So it's like,
you got a very limited career arc
on all these type of things. And it's like, fuck, at 24, I wasn't even like, I don't even know.
I don't even know why they ban performance enhancing drugs. I mean, like, don't you want to see how fast a guy can run? Or how? Let's see this.
I don't think things like roids and stuff should be.
Yeah, like if you could roid someone up and all of a sudden they're jumping 15 feet. Like,
I know you're joking right now.
I'm joking. Yeah.
There's like, if you allowed that, I mean, you would have people with like 6 arms. They would have figured it out. Like if you are off performance enhancements, it would inspire people to like have people with glide, like sugar glider wings.
If you are telling me that you would not tune in religiously to 6-armed meth wrestling, then I do not believe it.
Yeah. Listen here, Mean Gene. I'm the real Spider-Man because my genes were spliced with a spider. I have webs that come out of my crotch. It's not gross. I'm a spider. You don't have to put a picture on me when I spew my webs all over my.
He goes to the Olympic Village, immediately vomits up acid all over a plate of pancakes and just starts slurping it up.
I just mean, Gene.
Yeah, so
I was grown in a lab. Oh my God. If they allowed, like, if sports allowed that, it would be all bets are off. Like, you would have flying people right now.
Yeah, you
would.
And
it's not because of, like, this would benefit man. It's just because it would be money in people's pockets.
Yeah. You'd have, like,
I think it's complete horseshit that this woman can't. I just, it's so stupid.
It is. This seems like a clear-cut case of, like, let her run, let her do her thing. You can, I don't know. And
that's the problem with pot too. Doesn't it, like, sit on you for a month or something?
Yeah, I used to, like, I worked at a drug and alcohol rehab center years and years and years ago as a counselor, and we used to drug test the kids when they'd come in, like, just to get a sense as to what they were on and all that kind of stuff. Most of the tests were, like, real unreliable. They didn't test that long. You could, like, send someone's hair off for drug testing, but, like, we never did that. We just, like, took a urine sample and, like, sent it off somewhere. So I don't know. I know you can test for pretty much anything. It's pretty accurate and reliable if you put a lot of money into it. That's probably what the Olympics do. They're probably not hiring some, like, 19-year-old to cluck a cup of piss. So maybe they can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't give a fuck about the Olympics. I haven't cared in, like, decades. I mean, but the only thing it's in Japan, right?
Yeah.
I just remember 4 years ago, because in the end of the Olympics, when in the closing, they announced the next country, and they had, like, a big, because it was in Japan, and they announced, like, it was in Tokyo, and Mario showed up, and it was all, like, Nintendo stuff, and I was like, oh, cool! It's gonna be like Mario Kart, the Olympics, or something. And then COVID happened.
Yeah, fuck that.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for this person. I
do
think
too.
Bullshit.
The positive side is, I'll bet you she gets some endorsements out of it. I'll bet you she can, if she's smart, she can parlay this into getting probably more money than she would have gotten out of the Olympics.
Maybe. I think it still sucks, especially if you were, like, training your whole life.
It just sucks because this was probably her dream.
Yeah, and like, hey, you can, I don't know, do a podcast or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I think that's it, right?
That was it. That was our list.
Next week, we'll talk about the last episode of Loki and satisfied or disappointed. Maybe a little both.
Yep.
Maybe a bit of everything.
Yeah. I think I'll be satisfied.
Maybe there'll be some other piece of shit movie that we might have saw, or I take that back. Tomorrow War was not a piece of shit.
It was a genre film for people that like genre films. That's what it was.
People who were like, you know what? I like the Fast and Furious, but I wish it was even dumber.
I wish it had lasers. It
kind of did. I think the last one, the new one, that
I haven't seen it.
Everyone's ripping apart. Like, everyone's, like, making fun of this one, which I think is funny. It's like, did COVID woke people up to realize how stupid the Fast and Furious movies were. By having that year off.
I've just been enjoying all the family memes. I don't understand them, but they're hilarious.
Like the Power of Family or something. Like how are you ignoring physics?
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm sure it has something to do with the movie, but
they go to space in this one.
Oh, do they?
Supposedly they do.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Family.
What's it powered on? Family. All right. Well, I gotta go watch The Jeffersons and some
lactation film.
What the fuck? That guy was a weird. Oh man. All right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.